We can see the week dwindling off here. Oh, okay, forget about it, you know. But everybody gets resolved on Monday morning, and they try it again here. So, this is actually the New Year's for us. This is the New Year. So this is, in the Western, I don't know if they have this in Taiwan, but in the U.S. they have this New Year's resolution, and everybody goes out and does something to get organized or this sort of thing. So we got a good boost on that day as well. Okay, so and here's our distribution internationally. You can see we just released a Chinese, traditional Chinese version. So, and we don't have we have some other languages that we're working on. We have one almost beyond Chinese. We have one more that we're almost complete with. We're almost done with German right now. But we don't have a lot of the European languages. But yeah. But most of the customers are in the U.S. It's like over 90% or so for us. I don't have a close-up of Taiwan here, or Asia, but Taiwan is like a super hot spot. I mean, like 10 times as many as any other around them. There's like 130 people or so in Taiwan that have our app installed. And there's like maybe like 30 people in China and 10 people in Japan or something like that. So Taiwan is. And this was the same way during the Android Developer Challenge. It was also there were a lot of people that were engaged in the Android Developer Challenge compared to the area around it. But apparently we got customers on every single continent. We're really happy about that too as well. There's like a couple people in South America and Africa, and 10, 12 people in Australia. So for anybody who's interested in doing this kind of work, I have a couple of quick pieces of advice. So, when you think about applications, there's a lot of talk about it being the hot space, and this great thing. But it's also talk about how hard it is to make money. It's kind of this like love-hate relationship. You can make a lot of money, but it's really hard to do. I think my suggestion is just don't make it your primary motivator. Don't make it the one thing that don't do it to make money, because money is a really bad motivator. It's hard to get. Money doesn't get you up on Sunday morning when you want to sleep in. At least not for most people. So other things do. Do it to change the world. That might get you up on Sunday morning. Helping other people, right? That's a strong motivator. Doing it because it's fun that'll get you up on Sunday morning. That's what gets me up, is the fact that I actually really enjoy writing the software and the whole design and the struggle to get it right. So I really enjoy it. So I do it because it's fun, and because I like to help people and because I'm changing the world. But my suggestion though is that if you are going to do it, that you find a partner. Like I said, working with Gil Chang here has been very helpful in just being able to bounce ideas off of and things like that. It's very valuable. Actually, my suggestion is actually to find two developers and one designer, at least 3 people. It just works well that way. There's a lot of work in these Android applications. It's a little misleading. So that's my recommendation. Find 2 people and a designer and a designer. And of course, you should always look at watch your users, talk to your users, ask them about your product, start out with your users. So I'm kind of wandering around here, but I'm going to talk about Android. And so for those who have kind of like looked into it, actually looked at the API, looked at the internals of it, Android's a little different than your other OSs, right? It's got this kind of very elegant internal architecture, and it's very kind of simple components, so it's when you're familiar with all this, you start to realize that you don't need to do everything. I mean, it used to be in the older applications you did. You had to do everything. In fact, in some of the older Windows applications, you had to draw your own window, or people would draw their own windows and that sort of thing. And you don't need to do that. They've got a very robust framework, and you don't have to do everything. You don't even have to do a lot. That's the best part. You just really kind of have to be great at doing one thing. And there are some applications out there that are really good at just doing one thing. They're so incredibly simple, but they're just genius. They just hit a pain point, and they get very high rankings, and they do very well. So you don't have to do everything. Don't try to do everything. Just find some sort of pain point, and then of course keep improving on it. And like I said, Android is a kind of this ecosystem, and you can't really, to do software well, it's useful to not think of yourself as being alone, but working with other people. So you need to kind of collaborate with other people, share data, build some bridges with other people. And so as you're developing, you should also, of course, write down your ideas, because ideas are fleeting. They just disappear really quickly. And you should draw your ideas. It's a lot easier to draw than it is to actually write the code. So draw it and show it to people, see what they think. Find your graphic designer and show it to her, and hear what she has to say. So here's my prototype and my actual implementation. I actually have almost everything that I do. I have like about 20 different drawings before I actually get to the actual product itself. And of course, go back to your listeners or your users when you're done. I promised I would talk about Android Market, so I'm going to talk about it. So when you deal with the Android Market, you've got to have thick skin. It's just kind of it's better than it was. It was really bad. There was a lot of swearing when it first came out. They seem to have done something about that, but just the comments that people leave are just, some of them are great. Some of them just make you run around the room just like yoo-hoo, someone loves your product and all that. But sometimes people are just, I don't know. Some people think I'm rich. They get upset that I charge anything at all. Like I go into the reasons why, but yeah, they seem to be upset that I charge money for my products, even when I give them a free basic product to turn out with. And other people think I'm spying on them. I don't fully understand this one either. I think it has to do with my license. In the U.S., you have to write these kind of like onerous, like legal agreements when you license your software to make sure people don't sue you, and they usually include a bunch of language that you have to do it because it's legal stuff. But anyhow, so they read these documents really carefully, and then they accuse you of wanting to steal all their data and sell it to someone. I don't know. And there apparently are assassins inside of the Android marketplace. I've never heard anybody actually discuss this, but I've had actually people leave comments in the Android marketplace that are completely 100% false. Like you just they're so disconnected from reality, and you gotta start wondering whether or not they're really just working for like a competing software, and they're just kind of like leaving really bad comments so that maybe, I don't know. I think that there are assassins out there. But you can mark them as spam and kind of get rid of them if they're there. So. Okay, so can you make money? Well, giving away for free will get you a lot of eyeballs. So if you can figure out how to make eyeballs into money, then you can make money that way. We got a decent number of eyeballs, but I think the short story is just not easy to make money. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how difficult it is, or to say it's impossible to make money at Android. And I have to say that basically creating an application is easy. I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's easy. I mean, the fundamentals of the application, especially in Android, it's pretty straightforward. But there's all this kind of polishing work that you have to do, and not just making the application look good, but also trying to understand exactly how the user uses things and kind of working with them, trying to mold it to the user. But really, I think for a lot of people, it's just more than they expected. They thought that they would, it starts out looking very, very easy, and they think that the whole way is going to be easy. But there are other challenges along the way, and so I think people are willing to pay for the products, but they're very finicky, and they're not going to pay for just something you cranked out in a month. They're going to, we've been working on our product for over 2 years now, so and we've thrown away like. Who knows how much code? I mean, maybe as much as half of our code with trial and error and things like that. We throw away a lot of code just trying to get just the right experience. So I think that there's money to be made there. I think it just requires a lot of more work than I think a lot of people originally think it. Yeah. And this is why this is why I keep emphasizing that the 2 developers and 1 graphic designer. You really need to have a group of people working on it. In order to kind of get it to the level that people are willing to pull money out of their pocket and pay you.